So if you've been following me, you know that I was diagnosed with fibroids about 6 or 7 months ago. I did not want any type of invasive protocol. I knew that there were things that I could do naturally to support, reducing the size of my fibroids or eliminating them whole. And my first video that I posted on this page, I was really drastic with all the things I said that I would do. So I wanted to come to you with an update and let you know just how my progress is coming along and the things that I've really been doing. So before I get started, let me just introduce myself. I'm Coach Nicole Amai, and I help high achieving women regulate their nervous system. Because why? Because a regulated nervous system allows you to fully show up for your life without abandoning yourself. So today's topic is all about my fibroid journey. And the thing is, when I first was diagnosed with it, I was just so sad and frustrated because I'm like, how did this happen? I don't want to get into all of it because I do have another video, but just a quick synopsis. I was just like, what in the world? How did this happen? And the reason why I went to the doctor to even get checked was because my periods were so heavy. My periods were so heavy that it really affected just my everyday life. I couldn't go out the house for days, because I was so heavy and my energy was low and I just didn't feel good. So when I realized the culprit behind it was fibroids, I said, okay, what are some things that I can do? So in my first video, I shared that I was going to cut out legumes because I was mainly vegan. So I ate a lot of beans, right? So I said I was going to cut out legumes because of the high carbs. I was going to get rid of rice in my diet. I was going to focus more on incorporating meat. I think I said that. I said a lot of things, but today I want to give you an update just on where I am, the things that I have really been doing, and how my progress is coming along. So first, I just want to let you know that my periods have gotten lighter. Let me tell you, those period diapers? So I would sometimes go through one of those in an hour. Okay, that's how heavy I was. Those are supposed to last for at least, 6-7 hours or so. But I literally was going through them an hour and a half. It was soaked. That's how heavy my period was, okay? But now, my period, I have one heavy day. But it hasn't been so heavy to the point where I'm going through those period diapers. It's drastically reduced in my flow has drastically reduced. So I'm still at about 6 or 7 days, but they've been pretty light. I usually start out really light. I have one semi-heavy day, and then the rest of the days are light or maybe a little medium, but nothing super heavy. So I do see a change in my flow. I have not gone back to the doctor to, check on the fibroids. I have 2. I was diagnosed with 2, and they were fairly small, but they were big enough to be causing my periods to be heavy as hell, right? So like I said, I haven't gone to the doctor to get a follow-up, but I'm just allowing my body to just kind of tell me, what's working and what's not. So one of the things that I have been doing, I have my little list here, is I have been staying consistent with my herbs. I'm a herb girl. I believe in the power of herbs. So number 1 is St. John's bush. I wanted to say St. John's wort because I use that too for other reasons, but St. John's bush. This herb is really good just for balancing your hormones. So I use this herb about a week or so before my period. I was trying to drink it every day, but it just wasn't sustainable. Drinking this tea every single day, sometimes things would come up, and sometimes I just didn't want to drink the damn tea, right? So I realized it's been really effective drinking it at least 1 week daily before I come onto my cycle, 1 to 2 weeks before. Also, I have been implementing Vitex, and I have been sticking with that. I do that about 1 week or so before I come on to my period. And that also helps balance your hormones. And like I said in the first video, that Vitex is not a quick solution. You have to take it for at least 3 months to see any type of shift. But I am seeing that as long as I stay consistent with it, taking it in my luteal phase, that it has been supporting my hormones feeling like they're getting more in balance. Another set of herbs that I have been taking a lot are stress reducing herbs, because y'all, stress can affect everything. Stress leads to chronic inflammation, right? And chronic inflammation can throw off your hormones. Okay, so we want to make sure that, we're managing our stress. And sometimes, it helps to have other things outside of, just physical activities or hobbies or things to help reduce it. It helps to actually have like herbs that you can take to reduce your stress, like on a cellular level. So some of the herbs that I have been taking is, number one is oat straw. I love oat straw, and it is something that I use more so as an infusion. So I will make my oat straw. Get my oat straw herb. I put it like in a jar, and I do about like a cup of it. So I use a lot of the herbs, and then I boil some water, and then I put it in the mason jar, and I fill it up and let it sit overnight, and I sip on it the next day. So it's just really great because it really helps with stress. It's really nourishing to your body. It just helps calm your nerves. Okay, so I use that especially when I'm going through like a busy season at work, or if I'm feeling like life is just becoming, really hectic. I use that to support my stress levels. Another herb that I take is lemon balm. Now I have this in a tincture, and I use this more so not like on a consistent basis. I use it when I am feeling the stress. Okay, so I may, be having a busy day at work or stuff with the family, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need something to bring me down. I take a lemon balm tincture, and immediately I feel like a sigh of relief. Like lemon balm is really powerful. So I would recommend lemon balm to any woman who feels like, hey, they can use a little support to manage their stress levels. And the last herb, I have a lot of herbs, but these are like the main ones. The last one is holy basil. And that's really good also for reducing stress. So like I said, it's not something that I do like consistently, but I do it like around certain times when I know just things are busy and I need some additional support. Okay, so that is number one. I have really been focusing on incorporating, the stress reducing herbs as well as the hormonal balancing herbs. Not on a consistent daily basis, but on a consistent basis as in I take them around the same time every month, especially the ones that are for hormonal balance. This video is sponsored by the Micro Healing Guide. So if you are a high achieving woman and you're realizing that your success has come at the cost of your nervous system, I made something just for you. It's called the Micro Healing Guide. And it's not about doing more. It's about finally learning how to stop abandoning yourself. Because here's the truth. Your burnout is not a personality flaw. Your exhaustion is not a failure. Your nervous system is just tired of living in overdrive. This guide gives you the exact micro practices I use with my clients. Simple, powerful resets that bring your body out of survival mode in under 2 minutes. Practices you can use between meetings, before you react, after you've been triggered, or anytime your mind is just racing. If you want healing that fits into real life and not just some unrealistic routines, this guide is your starting point. If you're ready to create peace without pausing your entire life, click the link below and get your Micro Healing Guide. The next thing I have been doing, number 2, is working with my cycle and not against it. Okay, so I have been incorporating cycle syncing into my life, and I see the difference that it makes. There was a time when I was just really working against myself, and I would get really frustrated when I couldn't perform in a certain manner, when I wasn't as productive during certain times of the month. And I looked at it as like a personal failure. But what I realized is that it's not a personal failure. It's that I'm not working with the rhythm of my body. I am not a man. Therefore, I do not reset every 24 hours. I reset personally every 27 to 28 days. So I need to give myself that space to really accept that and work with my cycle. And what I found that it helps reduce my stress. When I am working with my cycle, I feel like I'm more in flow. I feel like I'm more in balance. So for example, I'm recording this video during my follicular phase. And during my follicular phase, I have a lot more energy. I love being on camera. I feel, beautiful, and I feel like, I'm ready for social media, all the things, right? When I'm in my follicular and ovulation stage. When I'm in my luteal phase, I don't feel like that, okay? I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to, be doing a lot of like outward work per se. It's like really reflective. It's maybe a lot of planning. And the same thing when it comes to my bleeding, when I'm actually like on my menstrual cycle, I'm doing a lot of reflection, a lot of planning. So I realized that when I work with my cycle, just things flow better and it helps reduce my stress. And like I said, stress makes any condition worse. And I believe that if you can reduce your stress and learn how to manage it properly, that it can really help you with your fibroids. Because personally, that is the shift that I have been seeing. So I do have a video on cycle syncing on this page. But yeah, if it's something that you are interested in, I encourage you to check it out. I just share like my experience with it. But I do believe that cycle syncing is something that allows women to tap into their superpowers. We are superhuman in a certain way, right? And when we lean into our superpowers, we can get so much done. But when we are working against ourselves, we burn out. So the third thing that I have been doing to work on reducing and or eliminating these fibroids is lifting weights. So from a lot of my research, I have found that lifting weights directly impacts your hormones. It really helps regulate your hormones. So I'm like, okay, I have to make sure I'm consistently lifting weights. So I try to do it about 3 times a week. And I'm someone who loves my cardio, okay? I love to dance. I love to do, my walking, my jogging. But also I have to incorporate the strength training because it not only helps, balance my hormones, but I also know that it helps keeps my bones nice and strong. And as someone who is 40 and over, I want to make sure that I am setting myself up for the best possible scenario as I age, right? I don't want the hip fractures and the bone fractures and all these things because I haven't spent the time in my younger years doing my strength training. So sometimes we can feel like, man, like I have to do cardio and strength training, like it's just so much to do. But believe me, when there is a will, there's a way. So for example, sometimes I like to either just do like a straight strength training workout, like no cardio really. So I'll do that for maybe about 30 minutes, about a couple times a week. Sometimes I like to combine the two. So I may do like a workout set and I'll do, a few minutes of cardio with some strength training and just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's just about finding your rhythm, but you don't have to think about, oh my gosh, I have to do a whole nother type of exercise. It's just finding ways to work it into your exercise regimen, because it just has so many benefits. And also I realized that when I lift weights, it also helps my mood. So I don't want to like go off on a tangent, but when I am like in my luteal phase, I can get very moody. Okay? I can get very moody. But I have found that when I am exercising and not just doing cardio, but doing strength training, that it helps me to be more balanced in my mood, which I know is directly correlated to my hormones, because when your hormones are like all over the place, it affects the way you interact with life, right? It affects your mood, it affects how your relationship, it affects everything. So I have been seeing in real time the benefit of lifting weights. So I'm going to keep that up. It's something that is definitely a part of my weekly regimen now. Another thing that I have been doing, number 4, I have been doing this for a while, but I think it's important to bring attention to it. Being really mindful of what type of sanitary products that you use. So I use synthetic, fragrance-free, organic cotton without chlorine. That's a mouthful, right? But I'm sure there are other options out there like the cup. I'm not too familiar with that. I've never tried it. I've honestly been a little nervous to stick the cup up in me because I've heard some horror stories. So I'm still using pads. But I did find pads that, like I said, are synthetic, fragrance-free, organic cotton without chlorine. And you want to be careful like what you put in around your vaginal area, because you're soaking it up, right? And that could impact fibroids. So like all of these generic, the regular conventional pads like are not good for you because it has so many things in it, and your uterus, your womb is soaking it up and can cause a lot of issues. So one brand I like is Honey Pot. So I use Honey Pot, but I use non-herbal, even though like the herbal is, you know, I'm sure like natural. I just can't do herbals because I'm very sensitive down there. So I prefer to have non-herbal, but that has been very helpful, like making sure that I do not use the conventional pads. And I don't really use tampons, maybe every once in a blue moon, but like I said, if I do use a tampon, I want to make sure that it's organic cotton, no chlorine, no fragrance. It's not the best alternative because I know there are other things out there like the cup, but for where I am right now, that is the best solution for me. So I just want to put that out there because sometimes we're not thinking about the things that we're putting on our body. And something else that just came up for me is also being mindful of like the fragrances that you put on your skin, because your skin is soaking up everything. Like you shouldn't technically put anything on your skin that you wouldn't eat. Now, I'm not going to sit there and eat no shea butter, but I could eat shea butter, right? Like it's all natural, right? So you really want to be mindful of also like what you're putting on your skin, because that can affect the growth of fibroids. Like, so putting all the, you know, the fake perfumes, the synthetic fragrances, you know, all the Bath and Body Works and, you know, all these other things, even like the deodorant, all those things can really impact the growth of fibroids. So those are things that I have been doing for years, you know, being mindful of those products. But I just want to like put that out there just in case like you're on this journey too. And I want to be really open and, you know, honest and transparent about what I'm doing. So I want to make sure I included that in there. Okay, so number 5. I have been supplementing with vitamin D3 with K2. And as a melanated person, like I know I'm not getting enough vitamin D. I live in DC, okay? And if they are not spraying the, you know, the stuff in the air, I can't even think of the name right now. What is it when they're spraying like the skies? Like I can't think of it, but they're spraying our skies. We're not getting enough vitamin D. We're not getting enough sun, right? So, and we as melanated people need more vitamin D. So I do supplement with vitamin D, and also it helps with hormone production. So I have been taking my vitamin D, and it was interesting. Like I have been doing some research on vitamin D and its impact on fibroids. And one lady shared her story, and she was like, she lived in Africa, some country in Africa. And she said, you know, when she moved to Canada, a couple years later, she was diagnosed with fibroids. And she said she correlated to not getting enough sunlight. She said when she moved to Canada, like a year after, she started having like really painful periods and really heavy periods and all of these things. She said when she was in Africa, she was all good, no issues. But literally that shift in getting enough vitamin D impact her whole cycle, impacted her body, and she ended up getting fibroids. So I know I'm not getting enough vitamin D. Even when I go outside, even when I get my walks, especially in the wintertime, I know I'm not getting enough sunlight. So I have been supplementing with vitamin D as well. And the last thing I just want to share that I have been doing on this journey to reduce or eliminate these fibroids is I've been using castor oil. So I did mention in the first video, I talked about this, that I did castor oil packs. Okay, so I'm not necessarily doing castor oil packs all the time now. I literally just take castor oil and I rub it on my stomach, and then I lay with the heating pad. Okay, so I don't necessarily like wrap myself with it. I just rub it on my stomach, make sure it's nice and, you know, make sure it's like nice and, you know what I mean. It's soaked in, right? So I get it all into my skin, and then I lay down with the heating pad. So I do that every day, like almost religiously, unless I am on my period. Because if you're on your period and you have a tendency to bleed heavy, or you have dealt with heavy periods, it's not the best time to use castor oil because it can make periods heavier. So I stay away from it when I'm on my period. But other than that, you can find me rubbing castor oil on my belly and putting the heating pad on my stomach before I go to sleep at night. And those are the 6 things that I have been doing to you know, to minimize these fibroids. And it seems like I have been seeing a difference. Like just within a few months, I have seen a lot of change in my cycle. So I'll keep you all updated on, you know, how things are going. And let me know if you are on this journey to eliminate those fibroids. Share with me in the comments, you know, what things are you doing? Are you doing any things that I am doing? You know, let's have a conversation. And if you found this video valuable, which I hope you did, you know, share it with another woman, because this could be a way for her to prevent fibroids, or if she's already dealing with it, give her some ideas on how to heal her fibroids naturally. So once again, thank you for spending time with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace.